Primordial Desolation. I am the Dragon Ancestor. I choose for the dragon race to retreat from the very beginning. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 404. Damn it. The great Emperor Hashan became angry. How could he be willing to suffer such a great humiliation? He used the Hashan sword to transform into 7 sword shadow clones, and bombarded the 7 receiving orbs respectively. But the cultivation of the great Emperor Hashan lagged far behind that of the receiving guide. The Hashan sword not only failed to shoot down the Jiyan orb, he was even entangled in it and unable to escape. As soon as the two sides fought, Emperor Hashan was in trouble and was always suppressed by Jiyan. Receive the Sky Tower, Golden Lotus of Merit. The lead did not spare any effort, and every attack was done with all the strength. He used all the magic weapons in his hands, intending to defeat Hashan as quickly as possible before the help of the Sand King. If Hashan can be killed, that's even better. Hashan may be unable to resist. Shen Long couldn't help but shook his head slowly when he saw this. After receiving a great increase in merit and cultivation, Sanqing and Nuwa even needed to join forces to fight with him. Hashan was alone and had no chance of winning. Hashan had been working for Dragon Ancestor in the past, but now it is difficult for even Yin to defeat him. The boy shook his head and sighed. Obviously he looked down upon Hashan's current cultivation level. Ancestral Dragon Immortal, I wonder if you plan to help him? No. Shen Long shook his head slowly, not caring. No matter how the Xuanmen and Buddhism develop, who can be better has nothing to do with me. The only thing I care about is whether their dispute will affect the prehistoric times. Nothing more. But, fellow Taoist Zhulong, didn't you say before that the intruder was most likely hiding here, but the little boy didn't notice it? The boy frowned. His consciousness kept searching during that earth-shattering battle, but he could not detect any sign of the intruder. Don't be anxious, since that person can travel through all the worlds and invade the wilderness. It shows that his ability is not bad. How could you find him so easily? Shen Long smiled lightly. What's more, this battle between the gods is rare in 1,000 years. Even if you don't find it, there is nothing wrong with treating it as a big show. This sigh, but why was Sanqing so sure before that the intruder would blend in among them? The boy asked very doubtfully. Hongjun Taoist Patriarch has just asked you for help, informing you that there is an invasion of outsiders in the prehistoric times. The two major sects that have always tried their best to avoid direct conflict suddenly have a huge conflict. Don't you think it's a coincidence? In the thousands of years since Buddhism was born, there has never been such a huge conflict. Shen Long asked calmly. This is what the intruder is doing. He wants to cause disputes among the saints and disrupt the world. The boy suddenly woke up and said quickly, could it be that some of these saints are the invaders in disguise? You will know then. Shen Long didn't say much and just continued to watch the show quietly. But the boy frowned even more and didn't dare to look away from the battlefield for a moment. Although Shen Long was relaxed, the immortals in heaven felt extremely pressured and were almost unable to withstand the successive attacks from the Buddhist sect. Soon the Nanshanmen was breached, and the Nanshanmen, which had taken 200 years to recover since Sun Wukong caused havoc in the heavenly palace, was once again destroyed into a pile of ruins. This battle completely made the immortals realize the crisis of the demon clan's invasion of heaven. At this time, although Wu Shen was 1 against 2, his cultivation level was at the 11th level, and it could be said that he was unable to fight back against Randeng and Tathagata. Chapter 405. Although Tathagata and Randeng fought hard, they truly realized that Wu Tian did not fight them with all their strength. Half of Wu Shen's thoughts were on Tathagata and Randeng, while the other half was on Hashan. Although he could quickly defeat Tathagata and Randeng and rush to aid Hashan, he did not intend to do so. It's a pity that Hashan can persist for such a long time, and the lead is really useless. After fighting for so long, he still can't kill him. Wu Shen thought secretly, if Emperor Hashan knew what Wu Shen was thinking at this time, I'm afraid he would be so angry that he would vomit blood on the spot. Hashan, If you hand over the fate of the immortals in heaven, I can't consider letting you go, and heaven can still continue to exist. Otherwise, there is only destruction. Ji Yin shouted coldly. Handing over the fate of the immortals in heaven means that from now on the immortals will be controlled by Buddhism. How can Hashan bear such consequences? It is simply mysterious for heaven to obey the orders of Ling Shan. What a shame! Snort. Seeing that Emperor Hashan refused to agree, Ji Yin once again inspired the Ji Yin heavenly banner and descended from the sky in an attempt to suppress him. At this time, Emperor Hashan no longer had any spare power to deal with it, and was continuously attacked by the Ji Yin orb. Pulled by the offensive, they could only watch helplessly as the heavenly tower fell. Under this blow, the person was seriously injured at worst, and his body was destroyed at worst. Just when Emperor Hashan fell into despair, an exquisite tower suddenly landed on the sky. He forcefully knocked the heavenly tower away and saved Emperor Hashan. The exquisite tower slowly rotated, and it turned out to be the Xuan Huang exquisite tower of heaven and earth in my hand. Ji Yin, you have a big appetite? You actually dared to ask for the immortals in heaven back then. You were just a registered disciple in front of Dragon Ancestor, while Hashan was a boy who had served Dragon Ancestor for countless years. How dare you commit such a crime? Sanqing appeared in the air, and the huge pressure exploded, and many Buddhist disciples who were oppressed instantly retreated from the Nanshanmen. At this moment, the Nanshanmen has been turned into ruins under this fierce battle, and the heavenly court, the first layer of the sky, is even more miserable. Unfortunately, there is only one step left. Seeing Emperor Hashan escaping from Ji Yin's pressing step by step, Wu Shen felt very sorry. If I had taken a step late and Emperor Hashan's true body had been destroyed, then he would have got his wish. I'll talk to you two later. Wu Shen gave up the Tathagata and the burning lamp and stepped aside. The pressure on the two Buddhas suddenly decreased and they breathed a sigh of relief. The three Buddhas gathered together and led the Bodhisattvas and Arhats to retreat. The three pure gods appeared and the battle ended. No one below a saint can intervene. Only a saint can decide the victory. Ji Yin, do you really think that our Sanqing dynasty is just a decoration and Xuanmen is about to perish? I looked at Ji Yin coldly. Different from the past when he had taken care of the overall situation, this time he really had murderous intentions. The Buddhist sect was completely intent on destroying the foundation of Xuanmen, and even started the war before Sanqing showed up. This has touched my bottom line. Just because he wants to take the overall situation into consideration does not mean that he is willing to accept unbridled provocations. My fellow Taoist, this is not what I want to do. Ji Yin looked at Emperor Hashan coldly, the meaning of which was self-evident. Hashan, I shouted angrily, Xuanmen cannot sit still and wait for death. Since Zishan has planned the great cause of learning Buddhist scriptures, if he does not stop it, when Buddhism spreads to every place in the ancient world, it will be irreversible. Chapter 406. Emperor Hashan gritted his teeth, but his words were shocking. Then why don't you discuss it with me but make your own decision? I suddenly turned pale. If I were to discuss this with you, how would I proceed? Emperor Hashan didn't intend to admit his mistake. The matter was over, and I sighed and stopped asking questions. Wu Shen was also present at this time, and he naturally knew that Wu Shen must have been involved in all this. After all, fellow Taoist Hashan is doing it for the Taoist sect. Why should I blame you? What's more, I will also help. Wouldn't it be easy to destroy the sect? Wu Shen smiled lightly, as if he was talking about something that had nothing to do with him. I will turn around and talk to you. I suppressed the anger in my heart and turned to look at Ji Yin. Today's matter must not be taken lightly. Give up. I think so too. Heavenly Court attacks my Buddhist scripture-seeking team, and this matter cannot be settled easily. Although Ji Yin and Lao Zi are aggressive, they still retain a trace of reason. They don't want to go to war outright. It is undoubtedly a lose-lose situation, unless it is a last resort. Both parties started to ask for high prices, and I asked Ji Yin to give up. Half of the believers in the East returned Xuanmen as compensation for the loss of majesty in heaven. Naturally, Ji Yin could not agree, and even asked heaven to hand over the heaven-suppressing beat of the 33rd heaven. In this way, both parties gradually lowered their prices to seeking an honorable end, at least to prevent this war from continuing. In the end, The exchange of interests between the two sides finally reached a point where both sides were satisfied, and Jiyin and Lazy gradually gave up the intention of continuing the war. Buddhism temporarily suspended the expansion of the sect in the East. And in exchange, Xuanmen is no longer allowed to attack the scripture-seeking team, and they are allowed to go west. The outcome of the disaster depends on their own abilities. As compensation for breaking through the heavenly court, the living beings in the East will be controlled by the heavenly court. This the gods and Buddhas in the sky never expected that I and Jiyin would reach an agreement like this. They were obviously murderous before, but now they are negotiating terms like businessmen. Emperor Hashan is dissatisfied. His previous careful planning and layout have failed. This was not the outcome he planned for. He intended to start a war and annihilate Buddhism, but the negotiation between the Sanqing dynasty and Qing dynasty was already established. How could he change it? Unexpectedly, just when the negotiation between Lazy and Jiyin was about to be concluded, Wu Shen unexpectedly appeared again. Show up to obstruct my fellow Taoist. You are afraid of Buddhism, but Xuanmen has my help. If a war breaks out, wouldn't it be easy to crush Buddhism? As long as the Buddhists are defeated and the creatures they control are taken back, there is no need to negotiate with them. Wu Shen is simply worried that the world will not be in chaos. Wu Shen, what do you mean? Do you want Han Wang to collapse completely? I think your desire to help Taoism is a lie, but your intention to gain the foundation of my Buddhism is true. Jiyin didn't expect that Wu Tian would interfere at this juncture, and he suddenly became furious and scolded him sternly. Jiyin, the matter has come to this. Do you still want to escape unscathed? Wu Shen looked at Jiyin with a half-smile, which was very meaningful. Lao Tzu, I think Wu Tian is right. Now we 5 saints are taking action together to destroy the 3 Buddhas in Lingshan. What's more, Tathagata and Randeng are still betrayers of Xuanmen and should be punished. How could Emperor Hashan be willing to settle this matter so easily? He actually helped Wu Shen to stir up the flames. Chapter 407 Hashan, do you think they will surrender? If this battle cannot be controlled, have you ever imagined the consequences? I think about the overall situation, but you Anchai and Tongshan were persuaded, brother. It can be like this. The 2 traitors Duo Bao and Randing have not been eliminated, and now they have become a thorn in their side. Even if they don't destroy the 3 Buddhas in one battle, it would be better to at least force him to hand over these 2 traitors. Yuan Shai and Tongshan actually started to persuade me. I frowned. He was really confused. Fellow Taoist Lao Tzu, why are you still hesitating? Let's join forces immediately. The 3 Buddhas in Lingshan are not worth mentioning. Wu Shen's voice is full of temptation. As long as I agree at this time, this battle will definitely be inevitable. Wu Shen, you have ulterior motives. Jiyin was so angry that he suddenly pressed down on Jiyin with his sky pillar, but Jiyin used the god-killing spear to forcefully resist him. I will definitely make you regret it today. A trace of coldness flashed across Wu Shen's eyes, and then with the thought in his mind, a few wisps of missing demonic energy spread out and immediately circled around the 36 bodhisattvas. In an instant, this demonic energy affected Samantebhadra, Manjusri and others suppressed their sanity. Something is wrong with Wu Shen. The boy watching the battle from a distance immediately noticed Wu Shen's abnormality and shouted quickly, he is bent on provoking a war, and I am afraid that he is the incarnation of the invader. You finally figured it out, Shen Long said lightly. At this time, his pupils had turned from pitch black to light gold. The Eye of Truth was activated, and everything was under his sight. At this moment, he saw that Wu Shen was the real Wu Shen, but his soul has been oppressed and controlled. Someone is affecting Wu Shen's divine thoughts. Shen Long already understood in his heart that the intruder's method was really clever, and they arranged it in this puppet manner. The fact is just as Shen Long calculated. Wu Shen has been controlled by the soul for a long time, so-called joining forces with Hashan Adadi, just looking for an opportunity to provoke a war. As for whether Buddhism or Xuanmen wins, it is meaningless, as long as the ancient world is devastated because of the disputes between saints. The goal has been achieved. Tell me, who are you? What is the purpose of coming to the prehistoric world? Shen Long sent a message to Wu Tian, and the latter's expression suddenly changed. Wu Shen, I didn't expect that someone could detect his existence. Without further ado, Wu Shen was afraid of being blocked by Shen Long, so he immediately activated the demonic energy he had set up invisibly to disturb the bodhisattvas and arhats who were affected by the demonic energy. Kill. At this moment, those who were suppressed by the demonic energy took action directly and attacked the immortals in heaven. Under this attack, many of the unsuspecting immortals were injured, and even their real bodies were destroyed. Manjusri, Samantebhadra, are you crazy? Ji Yin never expected that they would take action suddenly, and he didn't even come back to his senses for a long time. But at this moment, the demonic energy that controlled and corroded them disappeared, and Manjushri, Samantebhadra and other bodhisattvas suddenly came back to their senses. But a big mistake has been made, Buddha. We don't know anything, and he has no intention of taking action at all. The out-of-control bodhisattvas are panicking. The consequences of acting rashly at this moment are simply unimaginable. Before he could get angry, Yuan Shai was so angry that he directly used the Pang'u flag to transform countless sword shadows to kill Manjusri and others. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 408. If you want to fight, I will accompany you to the end. Why be so sneaky? Stop. Ji Yin quickly used the Ji Yin Heavenly Banner to block the sword shadow of Pang'u Banner. Just when he was about to defend himself, he realized that it was too late. I looked at Ji Yin coldly, with anger flashing in his eyes. Fellow Taoist, I thought you were negotiating sincerely. It seems that you will not give up until I destroy my Xuanmen. In this case, why should we negotiate? As soon as I finished speaking, Ji Yin and Tongshan used their magic weapons and formations as they were about to have a bloody battle. Let the war begin. Don't let Buddhism think that there is no one in my heaven. I will not give up until Buddhism is destroyed today. Hashan gave the order, and the immortals in heaven could no longer suppress their bad breath, and they all took action to fight. The battle of the gods that had just stopped for a moment actually started again. Tongshan and Yuan Shai fought towards Ji Yin, while I fought with an enemy. Second, take action directly to suppress Tathagata and Randeng. At this point, although the three Buddhas of Lingshan have no bottom in their hearts, they have to accept the challenge and simply start the war with the intention of defeating them. Fellow Taoist Wu Shen, I will help Tongshan defeat Ji Yin. You help me. After being brought to the three Buddhas and killed, everything will be as you wish. Hashan Emperor Wu Shen ordered, and then immediately took action to kill Ji Yin. The three Buddhas in Lingshan were filled with despair, and even considered whether to blow up their true bodies to defeat them. Being besieged by the five saints together, they had no chance of winning. But right here, at this time, sudden changes occurred that surprised everyone. Fellow Taoist Hashan, I am here to help you. Wu Shen suddenly attacked Emperor Hashan and suddenly attacked him with the god-killing spear. No one expected that Wu Shen would attack Hashan, and Emperor Hashan himself had no defense, only a protective shield. The Gangqi resisted, but the incomparable power of the god-killing spear penetrated the Gangqi easily, directly injuring Emperor Hashan severely. Boom! Emperor! This blow caused Emperor Hashan to fall from the sky and hit directly under the ruins of Nanshanmen, causing all the immortals to scream in surprise and come to the rescue. Die! Wu Shen's original intention was to crush the true form of Emperor Hashan. How could he let him go so easily now, and kill all the immortals who were protecting Emperor Hashan along the way with another shot, and kill him again? Wu Shen, I have known for a long time that you are a two-faced villain. Tongshan, who was fighting with Ji Yin, was furious. He had to give up Ji Yin and used the Kingping sword to stop Wu Tian. Only then did Emperor Hashan avoid being destroyed. Wu Shen, are you crazy? He even dares to violate the oath he swore to heaven. The great Emperor Hashan caused a gust of wind to destroy the ruins, and barely managed to fly up to the sky with serious injuries, his face full of shock. Wu Shen is probably the only one in the ancient world who dares to violate the oath of heaven. It's a pity that there is only one step left. You are lucky to escape today, and I will not tangle with you. Wu Shen knew that he had no chance at this time, so he simply gave up the fight with Tongshan and flew to the sky. Want to leave? I won't let you do that. Tongshan was about to set up a large formation to block it, but at this time Yuanshai could no longer withstand the attack. Tongshan, come and help me quickly. Let's settle the score with Wu Shen later. Yuanshai barely supported himself with the countless sword shadows of Painu banner, and hurriedly asked Tongshan for help. As a result, Tongshan had to let Wu Shen go. The original advantage of Xuanmin's crushing disappeared instantly, and even Emperor Hashan was seriously injured and could no longer war. Chapter 409, Hashan, you have indeed found a good ally. Haha. Three Buddhas gave up the idea of self-destruction and simply went all out to fight. After all, it is still unclear who will win at this time. Now there is no room for negotiation between Xuanmin and Buddhism. The only way is to end the battle. Whether it is the Immortals or the Bodhisattvas, this time Chadu only had one thought, to completely destroy the other party's sect. In this chaos, Wu Shen killed many Immortals and Arhats who hindered him, and Shi Shiren left. But Wu Shen did not know that after this battle, Wu Shen there are onlookers outside. Fairy boy, come with me. As soon as Shen Long finished speaking, he teleported with the boy without waiting for the boy's answer, and stalked Wu Tian outside the sky. When Wu Tian saw Shen Long, his proud face instantly solidified. Among all living beings in the ancient world, only Shen Long completely crushed his cultivation, leaving no room for him. Fellow Taoist Zhu Long, I have not provoked you. Why are you blocking my retreat? If you are worried about the destruction of the world, you should stop the two schools from fighting as soon as possible. Wu Shen said cautiously, while quietly operating his spiritual power, ready to fight Shen Long at any time. If I stop the fight between the two gates, wouldn't it destroy your hard work? Shen Long said meaningfully. Wu Shen's expression suddenly changed. What's the plan? I don't know what friends mean. Intruder, why are you pretending to be confused? The ancestral dragon Immortal has long seen through your little tricks. You can hide it from those saints, but you can't hide it from the ancestral dragon Immortal. The boy couldn't see that Wu Shen was still pretending, so he simply exposed it. The prehistoric saints would never dare to violate the oath of heaven, but you did the opposite. It seems that you do not belong to your true body. You don't care at all how serious the consequences will be. Anyway, it will not befall you. Is this emperor right? Shen Long pressed forward step by step, the pale golden light shining in his eyes, making Wu Tian feel even more panicked. Come to death. Wu Shen took action suddenly, and the god-killing spear pierced the sky, carrying a strong aura of killing. Go! A spear of destiny flew past behind Shen Long, instantly breaking through the brilliance of the god-killing spear, and it continued to kill with undiminished power. Oops! The terrifying power in the spear of destiny frightened the intruder who controlled Wu Shen. He did not hesitate to give up the divine will left on Wu Shen and ran away. Without the intervention of the mysterious intruder, Wu Shen he suddenly regained his consciousness and woke up. But he suddenly saw Shen Long's spear of destiny that could destroy all things coming towards him, and he was terrified. Fellow Taoist Zhu Long, Rao. Before he finished speaking, the spear of destiny suddenly disappeared into ashes just a few feet away from him. Wu Tian was lucky enough to survive the spear of fate, and was so frightened that he almost flew out of his mind. If this blow hits, Wu Shen will definitely be destroyed physically and mentally, and will fall completely. Seeing Shen Long withdrawing the spear of destiny, the boy was extremely puzzled. Master Zhu Long, why did you spare his life? The intruder had left long ago, and he would not be stupid enough to wait for death. Shen Long replied, fellow Taoist Zhu Long, I don't remember provoking you. Why do you want to kill me? After a while, Wu Tianxian came back to his senses and cautiously stepped forward to ask. I advise you to escape as soon as possible. Otherwise it will be too late when Xuanmin comes to kill you. After saying these words, Shen Long took the boy and left together, ignoring Wu Shen. Chapter 410, Xuanmin. Wu Shen was completely confused and didn't know what Shen Long meant. At the same moment, outside the wilderness, on a certain Death Star in chaos, a cultivator suddenly opened his eyes, and the ray of spiritual thought he had left in the wilderness had been withdrawn. This person is from all the worlds, The intruder that Hong Jun Daozu warned Shen Long, that ancestral dragon is truly extraordinary. Countless saints have been tricked by me, but he is the only one who can see through it. The intruder frowned, but in any case, his goal has been achieved. Now, he only needs to wait for those prehistoric saints to smash the world to pieces. It's a pity that you have deliberately hidden your true body in this place. Suddenly, a sound transmission unexpectedly broke into the intruder's sea of consciousness, shocking him all over. Who? The intruder was shocked, but the next moment Shen Long appeared in the sky, staring at him condescendingly. On the contrary, Shen Long looked at him playfully, as if he was admiring his prey. You just fought against me, why did you forget so soon? The intruder knew that Shen Long's cultivation was extraordinary, and he wanted to escape immediately, but was shocked to find that the space had been completely blocked, and there was no way to escape. Zhu Long, what do you want? The intruders are extremely vigilant and have already prepared for a bloody battle. This is what I, the Emperor, should be asking you. Shen Long sneered, I have some doubts. If you answer honestly, you may be able to avoid death. Ridiculous. Do you think that I, like those miscellaneous fish from the ancient times, can be at your mercy? The intruder laughed in anger, and actually sacrificed the spirit treasure directly, and went all out to kill Shen Long. Go. Shen Long didn't even activate the Spear of Destiny. He just used a soul shock to shake the latter's soul. Even the spirit treasure couldn't be controlled and he almost fainted on the spot. Don't think you can manipulate me as you please. I will die with you today. Under such a huge gap in strength, the invader's angry roar resounded through the sky. Its human form changed instantly and expanded to hundreds of feet. It had golden wings, its body exuded a fiery aura, and its screams resounded throughout the 9 heavens. His true identity turned out to be from the Phoenix clan. Are you Dan Kun of the Wind clan? Shen Long suddenly remembered that before the Fang clan declined, one of the many elders of the Fang clan looked like this. It's just that the Fang clan had already been completely destroyed in the Long and First Tribulation. This Tian Kun had been wiped out a long time ago and could never appear here. At first, Shen Long thought this was just the intruder's delusion trick, but when he looked at it with his true eyes, he found that this was exactly his true form, without any traces. Camouflage. It is impossible for Tian Kun to be resurrected. Who are you? It seems you have a good memory, Zhu Long. The Phoenix clan has been extinct for so long, but you still remember the existence of Tian Kun. The intruder sneered, but I am Tan Kun, and it's Tian Kun who has survived from the first catastrophe of Long Han to the present day. His words were puzzling, but Shen Long knew that he was not lying. You do not belong to the prehistoric world, but you are Tian Kun, the deity of the prehistoric world who has long since disappeared. Haha, I see. Shen Long's eyes flickered, and then he chuckled with some relief. Zhu Long, what's so funny about this? You really thought you had seen through something. Chapter 411. When Tian Kun saw that Shen Long was no longer as confused as before, it seemed that all his secrets had been seen through, and he couldn't help but feel a little angry. The creatures in the 2 worlds are exactly the same, but the results of history and calamity are completely different. Am I right? Shen Long's words immediately left Tian Kun speechless. Shen Long guessed correctly. There is not only one prehistoric world among all the worlds in the world, there is another parallel world, but the historical trends of these 2 worlds are completely different. Obviously, the Phoenix clan did not perish in that world, and even grew stronger, and even more powerful people discovered a way to enter the heavens and worlds. You are indeed different from those so-called powerful people in ancient times. It came to mind so easily. Tian Kun's red eyes flashed with murderous intent. In this case, it is even more impossible for me to let you leave. Phew! Tian Kun let out a scream that resounded through the sky, and then a raging fire burned on his huge body, flying towards Shen Long like a wave of flying fire that cut through the sky. At this day, Tian Kun knew that his cultivation was no match for Shen Long, actually had the intention of dying together. Even if they couldn't die together, he didn't want Shen Long to get any valuable information from him. Don't say it's you in all the worlds. I am afraid that no one can die with me, and you are not worth mentioning. Shen Long just raised his finger in the air, and the endless power of space law swept over, turning into an invisible restraint to control Tian Kun. That day Kun was stagnant in the air as if frozen by time, regardless of the beating flames on his body, or thoughts. All stopped completely at this moment, broken, with a thought in Shen Long's mind. The power of the law of space that imprisoned Tian Kun instantly shredded Tian Kun's true body, leaving only a piece of his soul that was taken into the hands of Shen Long. Shen Long did not hesitate and directly sealed the soul into the Seven Treasure Gourd. He was suppressed so that he could not escape, even if Tian Kun refused to tell the truth. Shen Long was not worried. He had many soul-searching methods, and there was no need for Tian Kun to speak. But at this moment, the boy who came from the ancient world was belatedly arrived, ancestral dragon Immortal. What about the intruder? He's not here? The boy looked around with his spiritual sense, but found nothing. He's here. Shen Long spread his palms, and Tian Kun's soul suddenly emerged in his palm. At this time, Tian Kun, who only had his soul left, was still trying to break through the shackles of the Seven Treasure Gourd, but to no avail. Phoenix clan? The boy couldn't help being startled. The Phoenix clan had long been extinct, and there were only a few remaining clan members left, but this Tian Kun was not the Fang clan he knew at all. It's a long story, and I'll explain it to you in detail later. Shen Long put away Tian Kun's soul and immediately returned to the ancient world. Now the two sects are engaged in an endless decisive battle. If Shen Long does not stop it, I am afraid that the ancient world will completely collapse and damage the way of heaven. At the same time, the Buddhist team that had already walked to Pingding Mountain were originally going to be embarrassed by the gold and silver boys arranged by Lazy. However, due to the war, they were ordered to return to heaven to help, and the four masters and disciples were able to pass through Pingding Mountain without any hindrance. Naturally, the four masters and disciples also knew something about this shocking battle. Fight back. But don't fight until Buddhism is destroyed. If Buddhism is gone, how can the four of us masters and disciples achieve enlightenment? Isn't this journey of learning for the old pig a waste of time? Chapter 412. Zhu Beiji complained as he watched the dark sky being covered by the remnant power that erupted from time to time. Although Shaseng didn't say a word, his thoughts were naturally the same as Zhu Beiji's. Idiot. All you think about is your attainment status. Is it so useful to be a watchdog for those saints? Sun Wukong didn't even care about Zhu Beiji's remarks. This war has also made the journey westward for our master and disciples a lot easier. Tang Xuanzang looked at the sky and said calmly. He knew very well that the so-called disasters along the way were just designs by the gods and Buddhas in the sky. Hey, monk. Do you prefer that Taoism or Buddhism win in this war? Sun Wukong asked casually. No matter who wins, it makes no difference to all living beings whether it is the immortals of Taoism or the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of Buddhism. They only treat and use all things as chess pieces. How have they ever really cared about the suffering of all living beings? Tang Xuanzang shook his head slowly. He was not interested in Sun Wukong's question. Master, what you said is wrong. All living beings are not qualified to be the sage's chess pieces. Even if we can only be chess pieces, we are still extremely lucky. Zhu Beiji masturbates like this idiot. You're used to being a slave. Don't instigate others. Sun Wukong was about to grab Zhu Beiji's ears and curse, but at this moment, a flying fire meteor suddenly fell from the sky, falling on the heads of the four masters and disciples. Oops! The four masters and disciples kept exclaiming, and quickly used their magical powers to escape from Pingding Mountain. At this time, Tang Xuanzang had already obtained the magic power of Jin Chanzi, and with the help of dragon and horse, he could easily escape. Sun Wukong was even more speechless. Next, only Shaseng and Zhu Beiji managed to escape extremely reluctantly, but they finally got out of danger before the flying fireball fell. Boom! Under the falling destruction of the flying fire meteor, the Pingding Mountain instantly collapsed and turned into a flat land. All living creatures, vegetation and trees in the Pingding Mountain were turned into ashes, mixed together with the ruins of the Pingding Mountain. Which heavenly immortal is going to attack us again? The three Buddhas of Lingshan are still there. Zhu Beiji was so frightened that he yelled. Tang Xuanzang jumped off the back of the white dragon horse, looked at the creatures on Pingding Mountain that had returned to dust, and was silent for a long time before letting out a heavy sigh. It's not that the immortals are taking action against us. This is the residual power of the battle between Taoism and Buddhism. Heaven is merciful. I don't know how many other creatures in this world have died miserably under it. Tang Xuanzang has never been so resentful of the gods and Buddhas as he is now. They started the war so recklessly, completely ignoring the dangers of all living beings that they talked about so plausibly in the past. Whether it is Jin Chanzi in the previous life or Tang Xuanzang in this life, they are deeply aware of this. Disgust monk, if those saints start a war, this place will be razed to the ground soon. If you don't want to die, leave now, Sun Wukong admonished from the side, while Sha Monk and Zhu Beiji ran away directly, for fear of being affected by the next round of remnant power. Hit the road. Tang Xuanzang nodded silently, and then embarked on the road to the west again. The impact of this endless war of gods is almost the greatest since the beginning of the world. The 4 major continents were devastated and were no longer the same as before. The boundless seas surged and flooded a large area of land. If it weren't for the suppression of the Dragon Clan, Baijilu continent might even be completely submerged. Chapter 413. The gods have fought to the point of madness, and no one has any intention of stopping the war. They even want to destroy the ancient world and die together, especially the war between saints. Although the war started outside the Nanshan Gate, the remaining power even destroyed the 8th level of heaven into ruins. When Shen Long returned to the primitive world, he had already noticed that Dandao had great resistance and rejection. This war had deeply affected Dandao. It's too much. If they continue to fight like this, prehistoric times will cease to exist. I will stop them. The boy was angry and was about to show up to stop him but was stopped by Shen Long. You are no more than an 11th level saint. How can you possibly stop it? Let me come. Seeing Shen Long's request, the boy hesitated for a moment and then backed away. With Shen Long's majesty in the ancient world, it was definitely more than enough to stop this war. Shen Long came to the sky and looked at this huge conflict that had spread so widely. In the battle of the gods, sacrifice the 5 elements treasure wheel immediately. Fire refers to its sharpness, water refers to its waves, wood refers to its straightness, gold refers to its roundness, and earth refers to its squareness. The 5 elements come out together. Listen to my orders, and all the laws of heaven and earth will follow. At this moment, the 5 elements originating from heaven are surrounded by Shen Long, absorbed and driven by him. The 5 elements treasure wheel behind him rotates rapidly, and at the same time, the power of the 5 elements originating in heaven and earth is restricted. The way of the gods, Dharma and Buddhism are both derived from the basis of their own 5 elements. Now that they are invisible and isolated, it means that most of their magical powers have been banned. At this moment, the battle between the immortals came to an abrupt end. Since the beginning of the war, the prehistoric world has unexpectedly a rare moment of peace. How could this be? My spells are banned. Who is this powerful person? Could it be a Buddhist method? If Buddhism had such a method, it would have been used long ago, not to mention that even people in Buddhism have been banned. The gods and Buddhas in the sky were so horrified that they immediately distanced themselves and stopped this protracted war. 5 elements restriction. The saints were shocked. Such methods are not something that saints can use at all. Even the heavenly Tao realm cannot do it. In the prehistoric times, the only person who can cast such Taoist magic is probably. Ji Yin was suddenly frightened, and he suddenly remembered that there was only one person in the world who could do this. Tei, who was in the heavenly Tao realm at the beginning, also died under the power of the 5 elements. It's Zhu Long. The saints suddenly noticed that Shen Long descended from the sky and appeared. A steady stream of power of the 5 elements surrounded Shen Long. The 5 elements treasure wheel behind him continued to rotate, and the talisman of the 5 elements origin was engraved on it. The terrifying power it contains can make people tremble with fear at the first moment of perception. Fellow Taoists Zhu Long, long time no see. Today's battle was not initiated by my Buddhist sect, but by the Taoist sect who went too far to bully others and even attacked my Buddhist scripture-seeking team. Ji Yin took the lead and stepped forward, putting aside all responsibilities. He knew very well that what Shen Long hated most was that the saints' desperate war led to the collapse of the ancient world. You Buddhists are not exempt from the blame. We had already discussed a truce, but you have caused trouble and started a war again. Seeing Jiyan shirk the blame like this, I was very angry. Everyone, I have said more than once that if anyone starts a war regardless of the safety of the world, there is no way I can forgive him. Chapter 414. You already knew it when the thousand-faced demon god sneaked into the wilderness last time. Do you need me to repeat it again? As soon as he finished speaking, Shen Long's aura suddenly burst out, forcing the 6 saints to retreat continuously, unable to parry at all. Today, I will settle this account with you. Under Shen Long's soaring aura, no one dared to argue with Shen Long. The saint was like this, and all the immortals and bodhisattva arhats in the heaven retreated from the battlefield, and even more did not dare to step forward. The 5 elements move. The 5-element treasure phase wheel that looks like a sun crown slowly rotates, and the original power of the 5 elements circles around, instantly imprisoning the souls of the 7 saints. The 7 saints were immediately horrified. Shen Long's method of dealing with them was so easy and impossible to guard against. If Shen Long had the intention, after they were imprisoned, he could easily kill them one by one. In this way, the 7 saints no longer dare to have different intentions, they can only let it go. Fellow Taoist Zhu Long, we have already realized our mistake in this matter. The saints of the prehistoric times should put students first, not the selfish desires of the sect. I took the lead in being soft on Shen Long. What Taoist friend Lao Tzu said is absolutely true. We will never be like this in the future. Jiyan also forced a smile and admitted his fault to Shen Long. Shen Long could even directly kill these 7 saints at this time, completely eliminating the great troubles in the future. Although they kept their posture extremely low at this time, the sects were still fighting. There is no end, and they will definitely do it again in the future. However, for the growth of the ancient way of heaven, the mark of the soul of the saint must be provided to provide advanced energy. If they are killed, the advancement of the way of heaven will definitely stagnate. The emperor is determined to end things once and for all, but considering that the ancient world is on the verge of a catastrophe, there can be no more internal fighting in the ancient world. As soon as these words came out, all the saints were relieved, but Shen Long hadn't finished speaking yet. From then on, saints not only cannot fight among themselves easily, but must abide by the rules set by the emperor before the calamity finally comes. First, those who are at the quasi-sage level are not allowed to interfere with the scripture-seeking team. Secondly, no matter what the Buddhist scripture-seeking team does, the 2 major sects are not allowed to interfere. Thirdly, if you want to fight again, you cannot fight in the wilderness. As for whether you go to the Sanqing realm or fight in chaos, I will not care at all. After saying that, Shen Long glanced at the 7 saints. Do you have any objections? Just follow what fellow Taoist Zhu Long said. We have no objection. The 7 saints all expressed their stance, and no one dared to object. At this point, the gods and Buddhas all over the sky knew that this battle could no longer go on and it was over. Otherwise, they will not only face the other sect, but also Shen Long. Under Shen Long's pressure, the 2 sects reconciled and swore to each other to follow Shen Long's rules and never violate them. This war that almost destroyed half of the ancient world is over. The creatures in the 4 major continents also felt relieved and rejoiced one after another. Fortunately, there is the ancestral dragon Immortal. It can be said that the ancestral dragon master saved the world once again. If the fight continues, I'm afraid the prehistoric times will return to the ancient barbaric era. Although countless souls survived the disaster, there were still unknown numbers of souls killed and injured in this battle. Among them, the human race, which was the largest in the prehistoric era, suffered the heaviest losses and countless countries perished, but its number still occupied the largest number in the prehistoric era. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 415. But after this battle, The initial reverence for the supreme Taoist and Buddhist sects has turned into fear among all living beings. All sentient beings can truly see that as long as the immortals and Buddhas in the sky start a war, they will never care about the life and death of sentient beings. Instead, everything will focus on the sect. Gen ordered all the Bodhisattva Arhats to return to Lingshan first, and the huge pressure in heaven suddenly disappeared. In this battle, both sides fought with a relentless attitude and suffered extremely heavy losses. In particular, there are many vacancies in the Bodhisattva and Arhat status in Buddhism, which makes Gen extremely heartbroken. Fellow Taoist Zhu Long, I heard you mention that the prehistoric era is on the verge of a catastrophe. I wonder what you are referring to? I asked. He has been extremely concerned about this matter from the beginning. Shen Long's eyes swept across the Chi Sage lightly. Do you think that without the Chaos Demon God, we can rest easy from now on? Besides the Chaos Demon God, are there any powerful enemies besides the Great Desolate? The saints looked at each other in confusion. Their cultivation levels have not yet reached the level of heaven, and naturally they do not know the existence of the heavens and worlds. When Shen Long explained the concept of the heavens and worlds to them, the saints suddenly woke up. After mastering all the heavens and worlds, you can enter other worlds. Could it be that Taoist Zhu Long is referring to? My expression suddenly changed. Not only me, but everyone immediately understood what Shen Long meant by on the brink of catastrophe. The war between the gods in the prehistoric times was not something that should be taken for granted, but was provoked by the invaders. You think you are chess players, but you don't know that you have already become pawns in other people's plans. Shen Long said lightly. These words shocked all the saints to their very core. Wu Shen. All this was caused by Wu Shen's instigation. He must be the intruder in disguise. Emperor Hashan couldn't help but gnashed his teeth when he thought of Wu Shen coming to form an alliance and violating the covenant to backstab him. Shen Long shook his head and denied. Wu Shen's soul is controlled, and everything he does is controlled by the intruder. It's just a chess piece. No wonder he dared to violate the oath of heaven. Fellow Taoist Zhu Long, do you now know where the intruder is? The closer asked quickly. This matter is extremely critical. Shen Long didn't say much, but released the captured Dan Kunyuanshan from the Seven Treasures Gourd. Phoenix clan? If Long Han hadn't been exterminated as early as the first calamity, how could he continue to this day? It is indeed the Phoenix clan. No lie. The saints exclaimed one after another that this was really beyond their expectations. Zhu Long, if you dare to hurt my soul, the patriarch will never let you go. Tian Kun's soul was still roaring angrily, but Shen Long ignored it and directly used the soul-searching technique to forcibly absorb all his memories. Kun's mind was instantly destroyed that day, and he became as if he was in a state of dementia. His eyes were lifeless, completely unable to prevent Shen Long from absorbing memories. After a short moment, Shen Long finished ingesting it and threw the soul, which had lost all consciousness, into the spirit-swallowing blood jade for refining. Everything is in this. Shen Long slowly opened his palms, and all the memories originating from Tian Kun appeared in the shape of a ball of light. Regarding this ball of memory, the saints almost stretched their necks to see clearly. Everyone was curious. The answer lies in it. You can explore it yourself. Shen Long lifted the restriction and signaled everyone to use their spiritual sense to explore. Chapter 416. Thank you, fellow Taoist, for your help. After I thanked him, I couldn't wait to dig into my spiritual consciousness to check. I took the lead, and the others couldn't calm down, and they all dug in to check. When they found out everything in the memory, they were all shocked. Subhuti, the 3,000 worlds are so strange and wonderful. I originally thought that all the worlds in the world are different, but I never thought that there is a world in this world that is almost exactly the same as the prehistoric world. It is really interesting. Ji Yun's spiritual consciousness took form, and he was really surprised when he looked at the parallel world that existed in Tian Kun's memory. The spiritual consciousness of the seven saints appeared in form, watching the changes in the ancient world of the parallel world. Just like where they were like the prehistoric world, the parallel world was originally in chaos, but Pang Yu used the sky-opening axe to forcefully break it open. The light and clear part was the sky, and the turbid and heavy part was the earth. At this point, the world was first formed. Then Pangu killed and retreated 3,000 of demon gods eventually died irreversibly, and their flesh and bones became the nourishment of the prehistoric world, nourishing the way of heaven. Subsequently, countless years passed, and the most powerful dragon, Phoenix, and unicorn tribes in the prehistoric world fought against each other, setting off a turmoil that could shake the world, the first calamity of the Long Han dynasty. Just like the prehistoric world, this protracted war finally came to an end under Luo Hu's calculations, when Hongjun Daozu, who had been hiding behind the scenes, killed Luo Hu. Changes occurred. In the desolate west on the earth, the unintentional willow tree turned into a human form by chance. He called himself Taoist Yang Mai and challenged the Taoist Hongjun, who was at the height of his power. The Taoist Hongjun didn't pay attention to Yang Mai at first, but after the two started a war he used his methods frequently. Even after using all the Lingbao, Yang Mai could not be harmed at all. Instead, he used all his methods to eliminate him, until finally, Yang Mai removed the top 3 flowers of Daozu Hongjun and killed Hongjun. Daozu killed and let Qi follow in the footsteps of Luo Hu. In this world, the Taoist ancestor was actually killed. The 7 saints were shocked. They all came from the sect of Taoist Hongjun. Now even Taoist Hongjun has been wiped out. How can they exist? After killing Taoist Hongjun, Yang Mai proposed to the Dragon, Phoenix, and Qilin tribes they were ordered to surrender. Otherwise they would be exterminated. The Dragon clan and Qilin clan were unwilling to be enslaved by him and rejected him directly. However, the Feng clan seized this opportunity and surrendered to Taoist Yang Mai. Not surprisingly, the Dragon clan and Qilin clan, the clan was no match for Taoist Yang Mai at all, and was defeated by Taoist Yang Mai and the Feng clan, thus becoming the biggest winner in the Long Tribulation. As the first to surrender to Taoist Yang Mai, the Feng clan naturally became the first in the prehistoric times, a large clan, just below Taoist Yang Mai, but above all living beings. After the rise of the Phoenix clan, and the Lich tribulation that followed, Taoist Yang Mai helped the Wu clan who were willing to surrender to him. The Monster clan was completely wiped out from the prehistoric era, and has now become the strongest in the prehistoric world, ruling both the Phoenix clan and the Wu clan. Because Hongjun Taoist ancestor was wiped out, the Tao of Xuanmen naturally did not appear. Jiyan, Zundi and other ancestors who inherited the Hongjun Taoist ancestors were also wiped out one after another, so naturally there was no way to confer gods and calamities. During the years when Taoist Yang Mai controlled the ancient times, the Wu clan and the Feng clan developed rapidly and spread throughout the ancient world. For a time, both were in the limelight. At the same time in the prehistoric times, the Phoenix clan and the Wu clan were almost destroyed. Chapter 417. During this period, Taoist Yang Mai's cultivation level rapidly broke through, and he actually stepped into the realm of the Great Road, and opened the door to enter the heavens and the world. Of course, Taoist Yang Mai does not have the same system assistance as Shen Long, and can enter and exit able to find other worlds. He has exhausted all means but can only find this only parallel prehistoric world. And Yang Mai also paid a huge price to open the passage to our world before finally succeeding. Yang Mai didn't know what was going on in the world, so he sent Tian Kun from the Phoenix clan to go into the wilderness to check on his behalf, and greatly strengthened his soul, allowing him to easily manipulate the souls of other saints. Everything went smoothly after that. After Tian Kun entered the passage, he discovered that the other end of the passage was the Zixiao Palace of Taoist Hongjun. He used Taoist Yang Mai's concealment method to avoid Hongjun's detection, successfully entered the prehistoric era, and then controlled Wu Heaven causes a battle between saints. So far, these are all Tian Kun's memories, and all the changes in the world have been recorded in them. When the saints finished this journey of memory and returned to their true bodies, it felt like they were in another world. Despite the passage of time in the prehistoric world, they were only gone for a few seconds. It's unbelievable. Taoist Hongjun would be killed, and even we, the 3 pure ones, could not escape the disaster. Yuanqi recalled everything in that memory, and couldn't help but feel frightened. Then everyone couldn't help but look at Shen Long. They knew that Shen Long had killed 3 corpses with his soulless root, and now Taoist Yang Mai was Shen Long's 3 corpses. 1. When they thought that Shen Long could transform even such a powerful person into one of his 3 corpses, they were really impressed. Have you seen that at the beginning of the world, any unexpected event may affect the historical development of the prehistoric world? In that world, Taoist Yang Mai was the biggest variable, and even changed the prehistoric pattern. Shen Long's words are profound. Fellow Taoist Zhu Long, is all this true? I still can't imagine that the arrogant Taoist Hong Jun will be killed. The facts are before our eyes. Kun had been killed that day during the first tribulation of Long Han, but now that he appears again, do we still need to doubt him? Shen Long said lightly. The 7 saints remained silent. They knew what they were about to face. A strong man in the half-step Dao realm was as powerful as Hong Jun Daozu. For the saints, the heavenly Dao realm, it was already an insurmountable chasm, let alone a half-step beyond the realm of all things in the world. Only now did they truly realize how stupid this battle between saints was. You should take care of yourself. I don't want you to continue fighting among yourself before you know that the catastrophe is coming. Shen Long only left these words and left. Fellow Taoist Zhu Long, do we want to help you? When Shen Long disappeared without a trace, I finally woke up and asked urgently, how can you help? Shen Long's short question immediately made them speechless. It's true, they are of no use to Shen Long. When the Chaos Demon God threatened the prehistoric world, it was Shen Long who resolved the crisis with his own strength. Saints like them did not play their role. Little affect everyone. Let's put aside the dispute between the 2 sects for now. After a long time, Ji Yin said sadly. Chapter 418. I think so too. Sanqing feels lost. Before that, although they were still controlled by heavenly Dao and suppressed by Shen Long, a strong man in the heavenly Dao realm, they were still aloof gods in front of all sentient beings and were inviolable. But now, when they truly see the worlds from beyond the ancient world, they realize that they are just an insignificant ant in the world. In the prehistoric world, Shen Long had no interest in saints like them, so they were able to survive to this day and develop the sect. But if Shen Long is as ambitious as Taoist Yang Mai in the parallel world, he can easily sweep away all the saints in the ancient world, and use any race as his slaves. Fellow Taoist Shen Long, compared to Taoist Yang Mai in the parallel world, is simply kind. This idea became the consensus of all the saints. After the saints left, Sanqing went into seclusion again in the hope of making a breakthrough. Their desire for the realm of heaven has never been so strong. Ji Yin also went into seclusion. During the Qing dynasty, all affairs in the sect were handed over to Tathagata and Randan. At the same time, Buddhism also stopped its previous barbaric expansion and gradually became low-key. This is even more true in heaven. The immortals no longer claim to be the incarnation of heaven. Therefore, it calmed down for the time being, and all living beings were thankful that this calamity did not cause greater disturbances. But the 7 saints knew in their hearts that a greater catastrophe in the ancient world was about to come. If Yang Mai failed to disrupt the ancient world, he would definitely use more. Lei's attempt may turn out to be more than just a conspiracy. At the same time, the 4 Tang monks who were still walking westward had passed through Nanzan Buzu and arrived at Zeniuzu, where Buddhism was most prosperous. However, King Chechi of Hezu, Zeniu, did not worship the Buddha because there were 3 national masters in the country who practiced Taoist fingering: the great immortal Hu Li, the great immortal Yang Li, and the great immortal Lu Li. The country had been going well for many years and the people lived and worked in peace and contentment. This is the Tao of Xuanmen. The Tathagata knew very well that these 3 great immortals were originally low-status monsters, but they were favored by heaven and gained their current magical powers. They followed heaven's orders to expel Buddhism in Chechi Kingdom and promote Xuanmen, and this Chechi Kingdom is located in Hezu, Zeniu, a territory governed by Buddhism. How can Buddhism tolerate the existence of this thorn in its side? It is precisely for this reason that Tathagata decided to hand over this task to Tang Xuanzang's master and his disciples, and let them deal with these 3 immortals and let Buddhism gain a foothold in Chechi Kingdom again. However, to Tathagata's surprise, when the master and disciples arrived at Chechi Kingdom, They completely ignored Chechi's behavior of promoting Xuanmen and neglecting Buddhism. In this way, Tathagata could not sit still. He immediately sent Taoist Sahang to the Chechi kingdom and asked Tang Xuanzang to deal with the affairs of the Chechi kingdom and never leave it alone. When Taoist Sahang arrived in Chechi kingdom, he did not appear directly in his true form. Instead, he transformed into an old ascetic and deliberately blocked the path in front of the four masters and disciples. Although Xuanzang of the Tang dynasty no longer had so much awe of the gods and Buddhas in the sky, his compassion was still undiminished, and he immediately asked Sun Wukong and others to rescue the ascetic monk. Thank you, Master. Master is really compassionate. Otherwise I, an old man like me, would definitely die here today. Chapter 419. The ascetic monk sighed heavily. Everyone traveling westward, you should know that it is not easy for us monks to practice. Now in the west of our Buddhist sect, the Chechi kingdom actually neglected the Buddhist sect, which is why we have fallen here. Master's words are wrong. The Buddhist monks of Chechi kingdom only focused on their own practice and never prayed for rain or a good harvest for Chechi kingdom. However, they enjoyed the incense and worship offered by the people. The people still lived in misery. Buddhism was gradually removed from Chechi kingdom. How can you blame the people for being neglected? Tang Xuanzang strongly disagreed with the ascetic's words. Taoist Sahang, who transformed into an ascetic, couldn't help but feel shocked. He couldn't imagine that these words came from the mouth of Tang Xuanzang, who was at the head of the Buddhist scripture-seeking team. If Tang Xuanzang had not thought about it for a long time, Buddhism is ahead of the idea of respecting all things. Even if he obtains Buddhist scriptures and attains fruition status, he will not be able to turn his heart to Buddhism. The ascetic stubbornly retorted, no. It was obviously the three immortals of Chechi who played a little trick to confuse the people and the king and make them hate Buddhism. That is why we have fallen here. If we don't expel those three immortals, the country of Chechi will never have peace. What the master said is even more wrong. Although these three great immortals of Xuanmen are not from my Buddhist sect, they have at least benefited the people of Chechi and made them rich and stable. It is natural for them to pay homage to them. If Buddhism wants to re-enshrine Chechi kingdom, why not also pray for rain to protect the people and win the love of the people? Tang Xuanzang still retorted. The ascetic frowned, and after a moment he slowly said, asking for rain and protection is just a small favor. Buddhism does not bother to use it. It is the duty of Buddhism to save all things and educate all living beings. People do not understand the way of heaven, are extremely ignorant. Don't you know that only by turning your heart to Buddhism can you achieve the path of bliss? Indulging in material desires for survival is nothing more than suffering from which all living beings cannot be liberated. If you don't sweep one house, how can you sweep the world? The people are ignorant, but living and farming, drinking and pecking are all natural cycles. How can the people not even be able to save their lives, but still believe in Buddhism? If Buddhism doesn't even have the compassion to show small favors, then it's okay if the people don't pay tribute. Tang Xuanzang's eyes were determined, and every word he spoke greatly exceeded the ascetic's expectations. Master is right. Old monk, old son, see that you are incapable of benefiting the people and are expelled because you are no better than Xuanmen. Do you feel resentful in your heart? If you want people to worship you, you have to show favors that others cannot give you. If you can't even do this, how can you talk about preaching and practicing Buddhism? Sun Wukong yawned and said with disdain, you are all fallacies. Fortunately, you are still Buddhists, but your words and deeds are so disrespectful to Buddhism. The ascetic monk scolded with a heartbroken look. Even the Buddhist disciples in the sect don't show mercy. How can we talk about obtaining sutras to save all sentient beings? The disciples of the Buddha are small, but all living beings are big. There is also a saying in Buddhism about cutting meat to feed eagles and killing one's body to feed tigers. Why can't Buddhist disciples give up themselves to protect all living beings, but instead, they have to take care of all living beings in advance? What's the point of practicing like this? Tang Xuanzang shook his head repeatedly and said in a deep voice, from the perspective of this poor monk, what master said is heresy and abandons compassion. The ascetic was sullen, and he found that he could not say a word to refute. Every word of Xuanzang of the Tang dynasty was the most upheld teaching in the Buddhist scriptures, but it was himself who contradicted it. Chapter 420. According to what Master Xuanzang said, the decline of Buddhism in Chechi Kingdom to this day is purely due to one's own fault. If the three immortals of Chechi are still alive, Buddhism will not be able to take root in the country of Chechi. The ascetic monk changed his previous abjection and misery, and his eyes became extremely sharp. He was clearly hinting to Tang Xuanzang what should be done. The people of Chechi Kingdom can receive universal salvation, whether it is Taoism or Buddhism. What is the difference? As for how Buddhism can enter the Chechi Kingdom, the master should have made his own decision in his mind. The poor monk does not want to argue with you. Tang Xuanzang had decided not to waste time and ordered his disciples to get up and leave. You should have left long ago. What nonsense are you talking to this monk? Sun Wukong said hello, and the four of them set off on the road again. Stop! The ascetic monk was angry. How could he let the four masters and disciples leave just like that, and instantly transformed into the true form of Taoist Sahang? At this moment, the Buddha's light shone, and the four masters and disciples were shocked, especially Tang Xuanzang. He could hardly imagine that he actually defeated the Bodhisattva. Xuanzang of the Tang dynasty took the path of seeking scriptures not only to obtain the true scriptures, but also to promote Buddhism and teach sentient beings. If you can't even do this, why bother going to the West to learn from it? Taoist Sahang scolded angrily. Bodhisattva, just as the poor monk said to you before, the people of Chechi now live and work in peace and contentment and should not be disturbed for the benefit of my Buddhism. Tang Xuanzang sighed. All living beings cannot be saved except by my Buddhist Mahayana Dharma. You must have such a compassionate heart. Your master and disciples will quickly drive away and kill the three immortals of Chechi so that they can no longer confuse the country of Chechi. Taoist Sahang knew that Tang Xuanzang was extremely capable of making arguments, so he simply forced him to go there as a bodhisattva. I really thought that Lao Sun could do whatever he wanted. Sun Wukong was furious and was about to argue with Taoist Sahang, but Tang Xuanzang stopped him. At this time, Sun Wukong remembered Shen Long's instructions to him, snorted calmly, and gave up. The four masters and disciples also went to the Chechi palace and asked Chechi to have a bet on the grounds that they were monsters that confused the king. Naturally, the Chechi Sanqing refused to show weakness and immediately agreed to the bet to compete with Sun Wukong. Naturally, with Sun Wukong's methods, after 3 rounds of gambling, Chechi and the three immortals were defeated without any surprise. At this point, the three immortals knew that they could not be Sun Wukong's opponents. King Chechi was a human being, so it was impossible for him to know about the overt and secret struggles between Xuanmin and Buddhism. He simply thought that the three immortals Chechi were demons who deceived him, so he hurriedly withdrew all their official positions and rewards, and no longer regarded Xuanmin as his respect. On the surface, Buddhism won, and the nail that Taoism planted in Hezu, Xinyu, was pulled out, but everything did not go as Buddhism wished. Originally, Taoist Sahang ordered that the four masters and disciples must kill Chechi Sanqing and avoid future troubles. However, Sun Wukong and Tang Seng did not do this. Instead, they chose to give up Chechi, Sanqing and Ma. Thank you, the great sage, for sparing my life. We are just pawns of Taoism. We are trying to drive out Buddhism in this country of Chechi. We have long expected that one day we will be exterminated. Fortunately, the great sage is merciful. The great immortal Hulai was extremely grateful to Sun Wukong and thanked him repeatedly. Lao Sun originally looked down upon those saints. Chess players who think they control all things are actually just ants in the ancient world, nothing more than each other. Chapter 421. Sun Wukong sneered. However, I would like to advise you, if you only want to be a watchdog for those heavenly saints, you will be abandoned sooner or later. You shouldn't still think about making concessions under the saints, right? Sun Wukong said here. I also took a special look at Zhubeiji and Shasangyu Monkey. Zhubeiji was very dissatisfied. What the great sage said is indeed true. We are all just watchdogs raised in heaven. and we cannot enter the eyes of the immortals at all. Great Immortal Lu Li was deeply touched. That's not the case. Lao Sun can give you a clear path. Those so-called saints, gods, and Buddhas are just like us. They are just a part of the ancient creatures. We can grow in the world without relying on them at all. Sun Wukong separated Zhubeiji and Shaseng on the pretext of becoming a vegetarian, and told Chakai the three immortals everything he knew, and told them the truth about his and Tang Xuanzang's Buddhist scriptures. Great sage, are you really sure about setting up such a huge plan? The great Immortal Hu Li was greatly shocked when he heard this. He didn't expect Sun Wukong to have such ambitions. This layout was not set up by me, Old Sun, but by another powerful person, and Old Sun is far from being able to compare with him. Sun Wukong smiled as he thought of Shen Long, who was planning everything behind his back. If we want to get rid of the control of the saint, we can only rely on him. Tang Xuanzang also agreed. In this ancient world, the person Sun Wukong and Tang Xuanzang trusted most was Shen Long. So, we are willing to obey the arrangements. The three immortal brothers responded immediately. Later, the three immortal brothers stayed away from Rhinoceros Hezut, seemingly taking the initiative to stay away from this dispute. When the four masters and disciples returned to the Chechi kingdom, Tang Xuanzang made a request to King Chechi that he must give a sermon to enlighten the people of the Chechi kingdom as a reward for saving the Chechi kingdom. King Chechi naturally agreed to it out of consideration to please Buddhism, and made great efforts to organize it. But to King Chechi's surprise, when Tang Xuanzang opened the forum to lecture, he did not preach Buddhism like other monks. Instead, he faced countless monks and ignorant people and expressed all his doubts about Buddhism. Buddhism says that cutting meat to feed eagles and killing one's body to feed tigers is the great mercy of Buddhism. But why does Buddhism always have to be superior to all living beings? Since the fate of the gods and all beings is destined, and suffering cannot be changed or disobeyed, then what is the point of believing in Buddhism? All living beings are born into the world together with gods and Buddhas, but why do gods, Buddhas and saints stand so high above them and wantonly enslave all living beings? This time, Xuanzang of the Tang dynasty caused a huge uproar when he opened the forum to lecture, making Xuanmen and Buddhism no longer have a high status in the hearts of the people. The people were doubtful, the monks were confused, and the incense offerings received by Buddhism and Taoism were also decreasing day by day. It's not just Chechigo, where the four masters and disciples have passed. Xuanzang of the Tang dynasty would spare no effort to promote these ideas and let them gradually spread in Xinyu Hezu. Tang Xuanzang's behavior naturally made Buddhism very angry, but since they initiated the Buddhist scripture-seeking team, it was impossible for them to end it. That would be tantamount to negating all the plans of Buddhism since the calamity. What is even more distressing is that Shen Long ordered those with Daoyuo Jingxian cultivation level to never join the team to obtain scriptures. This seems to be protecting the Buddhist scripture collection team, but it also makes it difficult for Buddhism to control it, and it cannot be corrected now. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 422. That's it for now. Even if Tang Xuanzang was like this, he was also born in Buddhism. The purpose of traveling westward was to obtain the true scriptures and promote Buddhism. At present, compared with Taoist Yangmai outside the ancient times, this is simply a scabies problem and is not worth mentioning. Ji Yun sighed and gave instructions to Tathagata and Randeng. There is no other way, it's just the lesser of two powers that harm each other. At the same moment, the Zixiao Palace training dojo is at the entrance to all heavens and worlds. This entrance was the passage through which Taoist Han Jun entered, but he never came out after entering it. At this time, the boy had brought Shen Long here, and the two of them looked at the entrance. Ancestral Dragon Immortal, please use your magical power to try to find the Taoist ancestor. The boy looked at Shen Long expectantly and asked him to take action. Shen Long remained silent. he could see that the entrance to the heavens and worlds was not completely created. When he penetrated it with his spiritual consciousness, it was discovered that the end of all the heavens and worlds is nothingness. Let alone Hongjun Daozu, there is nothing that can be detected wherever his spiritual consciousness reaches. I see. With his spiritual consciousness withdrawn, Shen Long said thoughtfully, this entrance to the heavens and worlds has been closed from the other end, which is equivalent to being abandoned. Not to mention that you can't find Hongjun if you enter from here. It's also impossible for him to come back through this passage. The boy was immediately shocked, like five thunders striking his head. Isn't it true that Dragon Ancestor will never come back? This is not the case. This entrance to the heavens and worlds collapsed on its own due to exhaustion of spiritual power. If Taoist Yang Mai intends to invade the ancient world, he will definitely open a more stable channel again. Shen Long is very convinced that Taoist Yang Mai in the parallel world has conquered his own world, and his ambition and desire for the outside world have risen to the extreme. Just like he conquered countless worlds in the past, then we can only wait passively, and there is no other way. The more this happens, the more anxious the boy becomes. Although Taoist Hongjun is a strong man in the Tao realm, Taoist Yang Mai in that world is also in the Tao realm. No need. It is no exaggeration to say that Taoist Yang Mai's method of opening the heavens and worlds is childish to Shen Long, who can travel freely through the heavens and worlds. When Shen Long turns on the system, everything in the heavens and worlds is like an astrolabe, right in front of you. It is a vast expansive void, and every twinkling star is a self-contained world. There are countless self-contained worlds, and it is almost impossible to search for a single world among them. But Shen Long had already planned a countermeasure. He relied on the remaining aura of Tian Kun Yuan Shen and used the system to forcefully explore, and soon realized the existence of that parallel world. When Shen Long came into contact with this parallel world for the first time, he discovered that the way of heaven in this world was at the same level as the prehistoric world. On par with it must be here. Shen Long did not hesitate and immediately entered it. Ding. The host has entered the prehistoric world, parallel world, and this world line has undergone major changes. If the host wants to gain control of this world, it must control the way of heaven in the prehistoric world, parallel world. To succeed, this world has passed through the first tribulation of the Dragon Han and the tribulation of the Lich. The remaining races are mainly the Phoenix tribe and the Witch tribe. The system's prompts reached his ears, and everything in this world was quickly explained clearly, which was exactly the same as what he had detected from Tian Kun's memory. Chapter 423. When Shen Long appeared in the parallel world, he found himself on a turbulent river and lake. As far as the eye can see, the land is separated by crisscrossing rivers, lakes and seas, and on every land like floating island, there are weak creatures living at the bottom of the primitive world. This is obviously the capital of the Zikiju dynasty of the human race. So why is it a piece of Wang Yang's kingdom? Shen Long was surprised, but he soon figured out the reason for this. Taoist Hongjun was killed by Taoist Yang Mai, Sanqing, Qilin, Zunti, and even Nuwa, who were in the same line. All lost their chance to become saints and realize the Tao opportunities. Naturally there would be no Nuwa to create the human race. In this way, when the huge flood that could shake the ancient world came, naturally there would be no Dayu to control it, and the flood would spread to this day, turning the world into Wang Yang's kingdom. At this time, Taoist Wu Xin, one of the three corpses, was summoned by Shen Long. Taoist Wu Xin's body was the same as Taoist Yang Mai. Both were hollow willow trees. It was only the different opportunities that happened later that made their fates different. Wuxin, have you noticed it? Shen Longfa asked. If the two are the same entity, Taoist Wuxin should also be aware of it. Yang Mai is in this world, and his current cultivation level should be. Taoist Wu Xin hesitated. Great Tao Realm, 5th Heaven, one level higher than Hongjun. Shen Long thought thoughtfully. Taoist Yang Mai should not be underestimated. Shen Long immediately returned to the ancient world. Now he naturally has to be well prepared to face such a powerful enemy. His current cultivation level has reached the 10th level of the heavenly Tao realm, and with the potential for a breakthrough, he decided to break through to the heavenly Tao realm before the war started. Hongjun, Please be patient for a while. At the same moment, the 33rd highest heaven in this world, the ethereal palace. This is the magnificent hall created by Yang Mai Taoist, and it is also where his Taoist temple is located. Fengzhu and Dizhang, the leader of the ancestral witches, waited outside the main hall for an unknown amount of time. Finally, they waited until the huge door of the main hall opened before they were able to enter. Fengzhu pays homage to Daozu. Dizhang pays homage to Daozu. The two of them saluted together, but Yang Mai did not show up. Fengzhu, how did things go? A ethereal voice without emotion suddenly sounded, making Fengzhu's heart tremble. Tiankun. I don't know why. His body and soul were destroyed, and the mark of his soul also disappeared. Fengzhu replied tremblingly. Needless to say, Tiankun's physical and spiritual destruction must mean that he has been noticed by the powerful people of the ancient times and killed him. I have clearly told you not to underestimate Hongwang, but you sent Tiankun there and did not take my words into your ears. This matter is extremely important. Not only did you fail to handle it, but you also alerted the enemy. How do you think you should be punished? The ethereal voice was calm, still without any emotion. I will go to the Sanqing wheel to receive my punishment. I hope Daozu will calm down. Fengzhu responded in a panic, and then left the main hall without even a moment's delay. Until Fengzhu left, there was a sudden distortion in the void, and Taoist Yang Mai appeared in the main hall. Dejiang, I will leave this matter to you. Make sure it is done properly. The Feng clan is self-righteous and sent a mere Tiankun. You must not make this mistake, otherwise your punishment will not be just the Tianqiang wheel. Taoist Yang Mai glanced at Dizhang lightly. Dao Ancestor can rest assured, with Fengzhu's past experience, how dare Dizhang not take it seriously. Chapter 424. In addition, the Wu clan and Feng clan are ordered to patrol carefully. Guests from the prehistoric world have already arrived. Has anyone from ancient times broken into this world? How can this be? Yang Mai's words immediately shocked Dizhang. That idiot Tiankun accidentally shook the stability of the passage when he passed through all the worlds. As a result, the prehistoric world could also pass through the passage to this world, but the passage had collapsed. Yang Mai closed her eyes, as if she was sensing something. I have noticed something. That intruder cannot be an old friend who has not been seen for a long time. Old friend? Dizhang is puzzled. Hongjun Daozu. Yang Mai revealed the answer to his mystery lightly. Infinite 4Cs, Longting Hall. With the help of the one-click cultivation space, Shen Long's cultivation had reached the peak of the heavenly Dao realm without even realizing it. What's more important is that a large amount of all the merit he gained during this calamity has not been used or consumed. In order to break through the realm of heaven, Shen Long did not hesitate to devour and refine all the accumulated energy in the one-click cultivation space. At this moment, the power of law and the spiritual power of chaos in the prehistoric world were quickly extracted and absorbed, and gathered in the boundless 4Cs. Like a black hole that was devouring madly, Shen Long used the energy that it took these saints several years to refine for his own use in just a short moment, causing the realm of restraint to begin to loosen. This change in Han Wang immediately alarmed other powerful people, and they came to the boundless 4Cs to check. Fellow Taoist Zhu Long is trying to break through to the realm of heaven. All the saints have witnessed me breaking through to the realm of heaven. Now that this scene has reappeared, there is no doubt that it must be Shen Long who is making the breakthrough. If Shen Long succeeds, he will once again become the breakthrough to heaven after the great ancestor Han Jun. Bound innate creatures. Fellow Taoist Zhu Long and we are both innate beings, but our current state is about to catch up with Taoist Han Jun. It is really incomparable. I have a complicated look on my face. Ji Yun looked at the boundless world with great envy. I really don't know when I will be able to step into the realm of heaven. His words resonated with the saints. Now that they can set foot in the realm of heaven, they are extremely satisfied. You are both happy and worried. The good news is that if Shen Long takes a half step to the way of heaven, he will have a good chance of winning against the parallel world that is about to be invaded. But the worry is that Shen Long will still be superior to the prehistoric saints. But at this time, they had no choice. If Shen Long was not here, this disaster would be destroyed. Even if the only Taoist Hongjun they can rely on may not be Yang Mai's opponent, If the way of heaven is controlled by Yang Mai, these saints will be controlled by Yang Mai in life and death. They will either serve as his servants or be killed. Everyone, look! Tongshan's expression suddenly changed, and he exclaimed as he looked at the vast infinite four seas. He saw that the calm infinite four seas suddenly set off violent waves one after another, and the karma rolled into the sky. Under the surging waves, guarding the infinite four seas, 72 chaos demon gods suddenly appeared. This is equivalent to the appearance of 72 saints. Under the increase in karma of the chaos demon gods, the color of the sky changes and the waves surge into the sky. I am afraid that only Shen Long can achieve such a deterrent effect. Got it out. The 72 demon gods appeared because Shen Long gave them the task of guarding Wu Yangxi, so that they would never allow outsiders to break into Wu Yangxi and kill them without mercy. Chapter 425. Although the Chaos Demon God today only has the cultivation level of the 7th Heavenly Saint, but in such a huge number, he is still a very terrifying force in the wild. Let's leave first. We shouldn't be welcome to stay here, I signaled to everyone. I don't need to say more. Everyone naturally understands this truth. The 72 Chaos Demon Gods appeared just to expel them. Although Shen Long has not yet come out of seclusion at this time, he has already become a prehistoric man, the focus of attention. The four masters and disciples of Zixing also experienced a rare silence, no longer disturbed by Buddhism and Taoism. Chaos. In the realm of the endless Death Star, at this time, Wuxian fled all the way from the primitive world and came to a realm that was almost beyond the reach of the primitive creatures. This area is densely populated with Death Stars and has almost no spiritual power, not to mention the existence of heavenly materials and earthly treasures. Even the original Chaos Demon God was unwilling to come here, which shows how desolate it is. Wuxian had no choice but to flee here. He was forced by both Taoism and Buddhism in the prehistoric world and could hardly gain a foothold. Although it is not Wuxian's responsibility to start the war between saints, those saints will naturally not pay attention to this, so they vent their anger on them. I will stay here for a while and then return to the wild world. Those sanctimonious saints are really abominable, and it is not my fault at this time. If you really have the ability, why don't you go to that world to take revenge? Wuxian sighed, feeling annoyed that his luck was so bad. He was manipulated by Tian Kun, who invaded the ancient world, causing him to become a target of public criticism. Maybe he hid in the Death Star field for a while and could return after the storm of this incident passed. Just when he landed on a Death Star and planned to build a cave, he suddenly discovered that the power of laws on the Death Star had become stronger. Wuxian was shocked. There was almost no spiritual power here. How could there be laws? The power of the law has descended. The power of the law that descended became more and more intense, and could even be directly absorbed by Wuxian for cultivation. But Wuxian became even more flustered. Abnormality must lead to demons. With this thought in mind, Wuxian quickly moved away from this area and looked at each other from a distance. Just as Wuxian suspected, the Death Star he had just arrived suddenly collapsed and shattered, leaving only large pieces of dust and gravel. Wuxian Tian originally thought that a certain saint was chasing him here from the ancient times, but he soon discovered that this was not the case at all. Boom! After the Death Star was shattered, like a chain of butterfly effects, all the surrounding Death Stars seemed to be shattered one by the energy ripples swaying in the void. This time Wuxian could see clearly that the shattered stars were not they were shattered by energy, but torn apart by the twisted space. The space was twisted, and the overflowing power of space naturally vented and exploded to crush these Death Stars. Could it be Shen Long? Wuxian suddenly came up with an idea that frightened him. Only Shen Long in the ancient world could inspire the power of law that distorts space in this way. Wu Tian was just wondering what to do, when a huge black hole appeared in the center of the twisted space. The power of the law of rolling motion spurted out from the black hole, the entrance to the space channel. Could this be? The next moment, a figure walked out of the huge black hole, immediately confirming Wuxian's suspicion. The person who emerged from the black hole was none other than Zhurong, one of the 12 ancestral witches. Chapter 426. The witch clan has long been expelled from the prehistoric world. and the 12 ancestral witches have fallen and disappeared in the prehistoric world one after another. This Zhurong must come from a parallel world. Something bad happened, and Yang Mai from the parallel world really didn't give up. Wu Shen knew in his heart that those who came from the parallel world were extremely powerful and was preparing to leave quietly. Where do you want to escape to? But at this time, something strange happened. Zhurong actually noticed Wu Shen's existence, and suddenly inspired a gushing fire tornado to sweep in. The fire tornado instantly destroyed a Death Star, melted the shattered ruins and killed Wu Shen. Damn it! Wu Shen was annoyed. He simply gave up the idea of escape and used the god-killing spear to attack him. However, to Wu Shen's surprise, the surging fire tornado seemed to be like a surging ocean wave with endless stamina, and its power was superimposed layer by layer, almost crushed him. Go! In desperation, Wu Shen had no choice but to explode his cultivation, and use the god-killing spear to suddenly thrust out a powerful spear light to barely offset it. When the fire in the sky dissipated, Zhurong blocked Wu Shen's path and gave him a cold look. Looking at each other when we first met, why did you leave without saying hello? It's really rude. Nonsense. How did you discover me? Wu Shen was filled with rage at this time. He finally escaped from the pursuit of the ancient saint, but he met this plague god. There is almost no spiritual power in this Death Star area, but you accidentally leaked a breath when you left just now, so naturally you can't hide it from me. You seem to have extraordinary cultivation, so don't leave. How about you stay and follow me to see Taoist Yang Mai? Zhurong sneered. The Zhurong divine spear in his hand ignited with fierce flames. His intention was self-evident. Roll. In Wu Shen's anger, the god-killing spear came out of his hand, tearing apart the layers of space and piercing it, with the intention of penetrating Zhurong. This blow was done by Wu Shen with all his strength, and the terrifying power contained in it could destroy everything. Bundle. Zhurong used the Vulcan spear to pierce the void, and saw the rolling flames turn into layers of flame circles, restraining the god-killing spear and forcibly neutralizing its power. The piercing speed of the god-killing spear gradually slowed down, until finally stopped completely, unable to move at all. The 12 heavens of saints. At this moment, Zhurong's cultivation level exploded completely without any cover-up, shocking Wu Shen. Wu Shen is only at the 11th level of heaven, and is definitely no match for him. Snort. Zhurong obviously knew that he had a chance to win, so he took action to suppress Wu Shen again, which directly caused billowing fire rain to fall from the dark sky in the Death Star area and bombard Wu Shen. In panic, Wu Shen used all his protective spiritual treasures, but it is still difficult to resist, and it is about to be defeated. Fellow Taoist Zhurong, please keep your hands on me. I don't want to be your enemy. If possible, I am willing to help you fight into the wilderness. When he was about to be cornered, Wu Shen hurriedly said to Zhurong. Zhurong seemed to be interested. How can I help? Work for fellow Taoist and Luo Hu. After all, you are entering the primitive world for the first time. This world is also many different from your world. I can help you. Whether it's fighting or leading a guide, you can do it. Wu Shen said eagerly. Zhurong looked at Wu Shen, who was trapped in the rain of fire and almost desperate. After thinking about it for a while, he slowly said, "How can I trust you?" Chapter 427. Snort. Those ancient saints were angry and expelled me, leaving me unable to gain a foothold in the ancient world before I fled to this remote place. I have long wanted to avenge this hatred. It would be best if I could use the hands of Yang Mai Daozu to kill all those saints. Wu Shen gritted his teeth, his face full of bitterness and hatred. This seems good, but Taoist Yang Mai doesn't need the help of an ant like you. He alone can pacify the wilderness. Even if I don't kill you, Taoist Yang Mai will definitely drive you to death. Zhurong thought about it for a moment, but refused without hesitation. After a moment, the fire rain falling on the sky instantly became more vast and vast, intending to kill Wu Shen on the spot. Just right. I have no intention of surrendering to you. Now Wu Shen's expression suddenly changed, and he suddenly struck out with a palm. The powerful power instantly destroyed the flames bound to the god-killing spear, and he retracted the god-killing spear. Court death. Zhurong saw that Wu Shen was still struggling to death, and immediately threw Zhurong's divine spear, which turned into a rocket that pierced the sky and instantly penetrated Wu Shen's body, shattering his true body. But unexpectedly, Wu Shen's soul did not. There was no breaking out of the body, just the shattered remains of the real body. The method of dismantling the demon. Zhurong gritted his teeth. Only then did he realize that Wu Shen was negotiating with him to delay his escape. The so-called demon disintegration method is to sacrifice part of his Taoist cultivation to create a clone that has no soul but cannot be distinguished, and can make the soul follow him. Transfer. Wu Shen used this method to escape. Let me wait and see. Wu Shen. When Taoist Yang Mai pacifies the great desolate world, I will definitely cut you into pieces. Zhurong was furious, and layers of rolling waves of fire exploded from around him, shattering countless Death Stars. Hey Zhurong, it seems that you got off to a bad start. There was a burst of laughter from the entrance to the world, and then Gong Gong, who was also one of the ancestral witches, also appeared. Gong Gong, I will talk to you in the future. If Taoist Yang Mai hadn't sent us, you would have to pay the price for this work today. Zhurong said coldly. Without further ado, put Daozu's mission first, and don't forget Feng Zhu's fate. Although Gong Gong and Zhurong are both 12 ancestral witches, just like their own natures, they are incompatible with fire and water. At the same moment, Wu Shen escaped from danger with the help of the magic method of disintegrating the demon. This time he did not dare to stay in the chaos. Instead, he returned directly to the primitive world and first went to Taking Realm to find Lazy. Among the saints, Lao Tzu is the one who cares about the overall situation the most, which is why Wu Tian seeks his help. If you don't hide in the chaos, you dare to return to the primitive world. Aren't you afraid of death? Even so, when I saw Wu Tian, I was still ready to fight at any time. Joke. The mastermind behind the instigation of the war between saints is not me. Even I am one of the manipulated pawns. Why do you express your anger at me? Just now he almost died in Zhurong's hands, and now I say such sarcastic words to him again. Wu Shen almost ran away in anger. Without further ado, what is your intention in coming to me? If you want to have a big fight, I will accompany you to the end. I sneered. Be prepared for a fight at any time. I am not here to start a war with you. Wu Shen didn't bother to talk nonsense and directly told me everything he encountered in the chaos. Chapter 428. In order to avoid Lazy's suspicion, Wu Shen injected his memory into the jade slip and gave it to the latter to check. Then all the ancestral witches from the parallel world came to personally invade. It seems that a great disaster is imminent. I couldn't help but be frightened. Wu Shen sarcastically said, if I hadn't informed you in advance, I'm afraid you wouldn't have known about the 12 ancestral witches who entered the wilderness. I couldn't care about this at this time. He immediately sent a message talisman to Buddhism, Tongshan, Yuanchai, intending to inform him of the crisis. After thinking about it, I sent a message talisman to Wu Liangsihai, although he knew that Shen Long was in retreat. Zhurong, the 12 ancestral witches, is already at the 12th level of saint cultivation. I wonder what will happen to the cultivation of the ancestral witches who are stronger than him. I am full of worries. I can't ignore the past grudges, but I will definitely settle accounts with you after this battle. Although Wu Tian resents these prehistoric saints very much, he has to do his best to resist the 12 ancestral witches even for himself. Otherwise, when the prehistoric world falls, these saints will be eradicated by Yang Mai. Countless creatures in the prehistoric era are still peaceful in the prehistoric era, living a carefree life. Little did they know that a disaster that could overturn the entire prehistoric world was coming. At the same moment, across the boundless seas, Longting Ding. Congratulations to the host for completing the world line of 3 lives and 3 worlds, receiving a reward of plus 99,999 billion world points, and gaining control of this world. Ding. Congratulations to the host for completing the Tanmaji world line, receiving a reward plus 99,999 billion point world store, and gaining control of this world. After Shen Long's clone exited the world and merged with his true self, a series of system prompts came into his ears. and a large number of world points and spiritual treasure rewards were credited to his account. Very good. Shen Long is extremely satisfied. Although Shen Long is now absorbing the power of the ancient laws of heaven to prepare for a breakthrough, there is a key cultivation space. He does not need to invest too much energy, as long as he does not leave the boundless world. Just leave this world. More importantly, Shen Long discovered that the system can actually allow his clone to enter, and he can complete the world line in some lower-level worlds to gain control of the world. This discovery directly made Shen Long after liberation. He transformed into many clones and drove them into the heavens and worlds, collecting rewards from the lower-level worlds. Of course, the higher-level world still requires Shen Long himself to enter, but this does not matter. With the help of clones, this means that he is always taking in the worlds in the heavens and the worlds, which is comparable to the one-click cultivation space. If Taoist Yang Mai and Taoist Hong Jun in the parallel world knew that Shen Long's journey across the heavens and worlds would be better than eating and drinking simple, I'm afraid they will be so angry that they vomit blood. After collecting all the rewards, Shen Long once again focused his energy on the parallel world. Collecting the parallel world is the most important thing that Shen Long cares about. If able to control a world of heavenly Tao at the same level as that of the Great Desolate World, Shen Long's cultivation can even directly cross the Great Tao realm and crush Hong Jun. Without the reminder of Lazy's messenger talisman, Shen Long already knows the news of Zhurong entering the Great Desolate World, and there may even be news in the future. A steady stream of enemies are coming, totally worthless, just a bunch of Yang Mai's scapegoats. In Shen Long's view, these miscellaneous fish were like dying in vain, and he couldn't even muster the slightest interest in dealing with them. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.